Good morning. Let me get some more light. It's Coach Erica here, your friendly and fabulous online personal trainer. How's it going? It's a little dark, but that light, there we go. All right, so there's a shadow behind me now. I'm still working on using my new tablet for these live sessions. So, welcome to my weekly Facebook Live. I'm here almost every week talking about all things health and wellness. Today, I wanted to talk about a question that I actually had from somebody recently when we were doing some coaching sessions, and she asked, how do you get over the fear of doing things alone, like a bike ride alone, a walk alone, especially if you've had a negative experience? And it was a great question. And I do a lot of things alone. So we talked about it, and I thought, this isn't the first time I've had this question, so it would be a good time to address it. So for me, I have done things alone for a very long time. For 15 years now, I've had a really unusual schedule, so most of my time to work out is in the middle of the day. So unless someone else can work out with me in the middle of the day, I have to do it by myself if I'm going to do it. And then two, I've been single more often than I have not been single, so I don't have necessarily someone like a partner to do things with. So I decided a long time ago that I was not going to let being alone keep me from doing things, because I would miss out on a lot, and I would have missed out a lot up until this point in my life if I didn't do things alone. Good morning. So I'm just used to it, and that was the number one thing I told this client, is that to start to feel comfortable doing workouts, bike rides, walks, runs alone, you just got to practice it. You got to start doing it alone. And as you do it alone, it becomes more comfortable. You feel safer, you feel more comfortable in your environment. Good morning. And it feels like something that's more of the norm to you. And it might actually become something that you enjoy, actually, having that alone time. So many times in my life, I just haven't had a choice. It's either do it alone or don't do it. But for you, if you do have the choice, but it's something that you would like to explore, number one, just practice it. Start small, right? Start with things that are easy. A short workout in an area that you feel comfortable in already. An area that is well trafficked. Maybe don't go out to the wilderness by yourself, but maybe just choose a well trafficked trail or route. A busy place you already know well, start there, and then as you become more comfortable doing things alone, you can get more adventurous with the areas that you choose. So that's number one, just practice it. Number two, obviously take very practical safety measures. I do a lot of things to prep before I do things alone, especially if it's out and about on trails or out where there aren't a lot of people. Number one, I always tell someone where I'm going, including my route and how long I think it's going to take me. So make sure that you have someone. I call them my trail angels. Again, I don't necessarily have a significant other to tell, so I tell a friend, family member who is familiar with whatever I'm doing. So say I'm out on the trails, I text a friend who also is a trail person, so she might know, is familiar with the geography, be familiar if something happens, so she could relay it to emergency services. So number one, tell someone where you're going. Number two, have a personal alarm. I love my personal alarms. I talk about them all the time. They're very inexpensive. You don't need to buy a fancy one. All it is a very small little device. It has a pull string, and when you pull it, it lets out a horrific sound. Very loud, ear-piercing sound. That can be so useful for if you fall and you need to get someone's attention, if you need to scare an animal or a person away, right? It just gives you that split second of surprise. So I carry a personal alarm. I also carry pepper spray occasionally, one or the other. I almost always have the pepper spray. And then also a safety beacon, an emergency safety beacon. That I carry when I'm out on the trails. It is a beacon that can actually provide an SOS if something happens to me. It can call out to my contacts. It can call out to emergency services. So if you're going to be more adventurous and be out in the middle of nowhere, I suggest that you get an emergency beacon. I got a Zoleo recently. Spot is another big one. Garmin InReach. Any of those are popular. You need to buy the beacon and the subscription for the SOS. You can also send I'm okay check-in messages to your loved ones. So that is another way to feel safe and secure, right? Because if you have your personal alarm or your pepper spray, you have your emergency beacon, you know that if anything happens to you, someone can get to you and find you. So that gives you confidence because you feel safe. Next, avoid isolated places, right? Like if there's a place where you know it's going to be super isolated and you don't feel comfortable, don't go there. Pick places where you do feel comfortable. You know, if there have been sightings of wild animals, maybe you don't pick that trail for a couple weeks. Pick something else. Avoid times of day that are questionable, right? Again, like I said, I go in the middle of the day, so I tend to feel more safe than if it's like dawn or dusk. So avoid places where you don't feel comfortable. Obviously, listen to your spidey senses. Like if you get out of the car and something doesn't feel right, it's not worth ignoring those spidey senses. Those are telling you that there is something not right for a reason. So get back in the car. Do the workout somewhere else. It's not worth it. And then last is calculate your risk to reward. So how much are you willing to risk to get whatever that activity is in? Like I have a pretty high risk to reward because I've done a lot of things on my own. I'm familiar with various wilderness areas. And so could something happen? Yes. Something can happen anytime you leave your house. Something can happen in the wilderness at any time. I'm willing to risk that in many places for the reward of doing whatever activity it is. You might not have that high of a risk to reward system, and that's okay. Maybe your risk is only like a bike path by yourself or a very popular hiking trail. That's totally fine. You want to be comfortable. So think about what your own risk to reward is and then go from there. But I really hope that you take all these little tips, start small, and if you're interested in doing things solo, work your way up so you feel comfortable because it really can be rewarding and then you will not miss out on those rewarding experiences. So again, practice, start small, start safe, start comfortable, and then do all those practical safety measures I talked about, and finally calculate your risk to reward. All right, I hope that helped you out today. Go out, enjoy a wonderful afternoon and day. I will not be here next week. We are taking the week off for mental health between Christmas and New Year's, so you will see me back in the new year. If you're just joining in, we're finishing up, so you can just hit replay when the video processes and check it out. Have a great holiday, and I'll see you guys next time.